Since you guys have been requesting for me to give you more and more console fanboy style, I decided to deliver, and today we'll be looking at a video trying to claim that the PS5 puts your RTX 3070 to shame, which is obviously not true. So without further delay, I'll let the video play.
Yo, welcome back people. You don't know it's the King Boss. This video is going to be reasons as to why I think console is currently actually way better than PCs, well, a way better value. But before the PC gamers rip my head off, just hear me out, alright?
I love to break it to you, but you aren't going to be correct when it comes to 99% of things in this situation. You know it's going to be a great video when you can hear with headphones that the audio for someone's intro cuts off in one ear. Truly a brilliant sign of great content.
Alright, first of all, let me start off by saying I love PCs, I love PC gaming, I love everything about computers. However, I do believe that consoles at the current moment and potentially a bit into the future is going to offer a lot more or a lot better price to performance than a PC would.
That purely depends on what price range you are talking about, and it mainly relies on ignoring the fact that scalping is still a huge issue. PS5s are still extremely hard to get at their standard pricing, and can cost you just as much as a better PC right now. Also, no shit is going to be difficult to get a PC at $500 to match the performance, unless you want to use used parts. PlayStation and Xbox for the most part lose money on console sales, and make money back from services and game sales. Consoles only offer better price to performance at their standard pricing, and even still they can't do most things a PC can do.
Now, back in the days, I would say actually PC is the only way to go. Having a console doesn't even make sense for me. But over the years, especially this new generation, the current gen now, which is PS5 and the Xbox Series X, I think that's out the window.
What exactly are these new consoles offering that is different to previous generations which you can't get on PC? Because as far as I'm aware, PC gaming still has far more benefits than console gaming, like the lack of $70 games for the most part, because developers and publishers are fully aware that the PC market will not pay such ridiculous prices. And even if devs try to force you to pay $70 for a game, instant gaming and CD keys exist, so just get your games there. You can still use whatever controller you want on PC, unlike on consoles, thanks to Steam Big Picture mode, and the new consoles haven't given anything new to players other than ray tracing capabilities, but even still the ray tracing is low end for obvious reasons, and the benefit of 120 FPS is also available on PC.
Let me explain. So, if I were to build a PC right now, I would probably go for something like a 3060 Ti or a 3070 because they're so similarly priced.
No, they aren't. There is at best a £170 difference between them, and there is a good reason for that.
I would probably go for some AMD chip that's either 6 core or 8 core with twice the amount of threads. I'd probably go for minimum 16 gigabytes of RAM, a 512 gigabyte SSD or 1 terabyte, so on and so forth, right? But let me just say, I have right now a PS5 and an Xbox Series X. And if I were to buy a brand new 3070 right now, I would be spending the same amount of money I spent on the Series X and the PS5.
Well, no shit. The 3070 is a beast compared to the PS5 and Xbox Series X, which are an equivalent to an RTX 2060. So of course you will be paying more for the 3070. In no world do you have to buy a 3070 when building a PC either, so this line of thought is incredibly stupid.
Now, this has always been the case. It's always been the case where PC components are a lot more expensive than their console counterparts.
The PS5 is not an equivalent counterpart to the 3070, so of course they won't cost the same. If you want to compare GPUs, then go look on eBay for the prices of an RTX 2060, which is basically the equivalent counterpart to the PS5. You'll quickly notice these GPUs will rarely cost more than a console.
However, consoles have somewhat caught up. Now don't get me wrong, 4K 60 on a console is very different from 4K 60 on a PC. 4K 60 on a PC looks way better.
4K 60fps is 4K 60fps. It doesn't matter what system you experience it on. It's so weird to me that I have to defend the consoles right now in a video that's supposedly bashing PC gaming. And before anyone brings up upscaling, that isn't 4K. That's another resolution being upscaled to try and copy 4K.
Runs way smoother, not in terms of the frame rate obviously, but there's more detail on screen.
That's more to do with texture quality, not necessarily resolution.
If you have a GPU that can run 4K 60 as standard, you're getting a better experience overall compared to the same resolution and frame rate on a console.
I thought this video was meant to be proving why console gaming is better.
But where it comes in, as I said before, it's the price, right?
You pay more to get more out of your games. If you don't want to dish out the money to run everything in 4K 60fps, then you don't have to. I don't get this obsession with 4K that some console players have. 4K does not necessarily mean your game looks better, because the way developers achieve 4K on consoles is by turning down the texture quality of games. Cold War on the PS5, for example, runs at lower settings than the lowest settings available on PC in order to run at 4K 120fps. When it comes to PC gaming, you get what you pay for. For consoles, you pay for what you're given. Something being cheaper doesn't automatically make it better, like you are weirdly trying to argue.
The fact that you're actually getting 4K 60 on a console, and in the future, with future updates from Microsoft and Sony, you're going to be getting 8K, potentially 30 frames per second.
Anyone who's unironically okay with playing games at 30fps is a fucking idiot. In no world is 8K worth playing games at 30fps. A high resolution doesn't mean something is better, and it's such a weird idea that console manufacturers have spread, which these console fanboys are just eaten up.
That's amazing.
30fps is disgusting in 2021, not amazing. And let's be honest, the only games which will be running at 8K on the PS5 are games like Celeste.
It's never been the case where consoles have been so close to PCs.
They still aren't. Consoles are still a closed ecosystem and share none of the benefits of PC. The poor souls who have a PS5 digital simply can't escape Sony's bullshit $70 price tag. Consoles are still lagging behind the latest PC hardware. Frankly, the deluded idea that consoles are comparable to PCs is moronic. Consoles won't ever come close to matching PC gaming, so long as they stick to their $500 price tag. And if they move away from that, they just become shitty PCs with closed ecosystems.
I know that these consoles also have SSDs built in as standard. I mean, given there isn't much storage on them, because you get about 835 or 45 gigabytes with the PS5 and close to that with the Xbox One. So yes, you don't get a full 1 terabyte, but it's close enough.
The PS5 has about 667 gigabytes of usable storage, and the Series X has about 802 gigabytes of usable storage. And this only proves how much better PC gaming is, since I can install any VME hard drive I want, unlike with the new Xboxes and the PS5.
I mean, on my Series X, I've probably got 5-6 games installed, and normally I don't have any more than 1 or 2. So for me, that's overkill. I can live with 1 terabyte, and I would never buy that 219 pound SSD that Microsoft is trying to sell us. I might at some point get an M.2 drive for my PS5, just because I can upgrade that myself, and the prices for that would be relatively sensible.
Someone clearly hasn't been keeping up with the news recently, since that was the biggest issue people had with the PS5's expandable storage. Only certain SSDs are supported, and the ones that aren't exactly cheap.
Now, another reason why I think consoles are greater than PCs, or better than PCs right now, yes, PCs have more games, because if you go on a Steam store or some random website, you can download hundreds of games that are not on console and will probably never be on console. However, if you wanted the AAA stuff that's consistently being released by these companies every year, every other year, then you're going to need to be on console.
What world is this guy living in? It's very rare for a AAA game to not come to PC in 2021. The only recent example I can think of is a Yakuza spin-off called Lost Judgment, and that series is on the verge of cancellation because the actor's talent agency won't allow the game to come to Steam or PC.
Yes, PC will get most of this stuff, but not everything. Consoles are also now using PC hardware. I mean, both these systems have an x86, well, 64-bit version of the AMD processors, the AMD GPU. So they have an AMD APU there.
They have always used custom PC hardware. The fuck did you think they were using? Did you think they were using Snapdragon chips or something?
They have 16 gigabytes of RAM. They have an SSD. They have a motherboard. Right, these things are basically PC components that have been tailored to these consoles.
How is it even possible that he didn't realize that consoles use motherboards, APUs and RAM? How is that even possible? I can't begin to fathom how it's remotely possible to think that consoles have only just started using these.
So having the same, let's not say the same, having similar spec on a PC, similar spec on a console, a PC, Microsoft has made Windows 10 a big mess. Now Windows 11 is coming, but I don't think it's going to be that much of an improvement. Performance wise, it might be a bit forward, visual effects and so on, it might be a bit of a jump, but not so much that going from Windows 10 to Windows 11 will maybe yield you 30% performance, right?
I don't think it would even be possible for it to be more blatantly obvious that this guy's talking out of his ass right now.
Whereas on a console, the operating systems and UIs that they have, it's so simplified, it's so well programmed that it uses a minimal amount of resources.
I too love my well-optimized operating system that takes up around 160 gigabytes on the PS5 and Xbox Series X compared to Windows, which only takes up about 15 gigabytes on a fresh install, whilst offering more freedom and more features. Also, the PS5 UI is an objective downgrade from the PS4. That UI is god awful if I'm being honest. But either way, I have no idea why he's pretending like Windows 10 will eat up your performance in the background, when that definitely isn't the case, unless your PC is truly ancient.
Actually have the UI and the rest of the operating system running, which means that most of that power can be thrusted or pushed towards the gaming performance that people want.
And that is also true for PC gaming.
I mean, 4K 60, 1080p 120, that's amazing. I mean 4K 120 as well. There is going to be an option for 4K 120 in the future.
It is truly incredible how little this guy knows about what he's talking about. 120 FPS at 4K is already available on the next gen systems, but as I mentioned earlier, developers have to obviously tone down graphics to achieve this.
So I just think both these companies have done really well, and as a PC gamer, as an original PC gamer, the first game I ever played was on my PC. I actually, on consoles, just to let you guys know how unbiased I am, on consoles I still use a mouse and keyboard.
The PS5 has barely any mouse and keyboard support outside of fucking COD and Fortnite. Xbox has it in a few more games like Warframe, but apart from that, you clearly don't play many console games, unless you're using Zim adapters, and then you're just a dickhead in most cases.
For example, games like Gears of War 5 or Gears, whatever they call the most recent one, I played that with mouse and keyboard. Games like Metro, I think it was called Exodus, I played that with mouse and keyboard. And games like GTA 5, which don't even support mouse and keyboard, I went out and I bought what's known as a Zim Apex, and I had a Zim 4 before, and that's basically a mouse and keyboard translator which allows me to plug my mouse and keyboard into my console and play with mouse and keyboard.
How the fuck does using mouse and keyboard and console through a Zim adapter prove you aren't biased? All that proves is you're a dickhead who wants to bypass being put into lobbies with keyboard and mouse users in games with crossplay. But I do find it highly ironic he's fanboying for consoles whilst having to bypass the fact there's no substantial amount of keyboard and mouse support on consoles. The fact you can't use any peripheral of your choice without buying a Zim adapter is bullshit, and it's not a positive for consoles like he's weirdly suggesting it is.
As much as I do think consoles are better for this generation and potentially moving forward, I still use PC components to game. Alright, so just my thoughts on a topic that I think I wanted to address. Hope you guys liked it. Please like, subscribe, comment, share, do the whole thing, alright?
Well, as per usual, I can confidently say I did not enjoy a single second of that, and I sure as hell won't be leaving a like or subscribing. Now we've finally reached the end of that misinformed video, so with all that being said, please do not forget to do all the things YouTubers love to beg you to do, aka check out my Discord server, follow me on Twitter, as well as like, comment and subscribe, so that I'll see you all in the next video.